Now, I am still a registered Democrat. People ask me, well, why? Because I live in urban America. And for me to be able to communicate with my neighbors, the first thing they ask me is, they tell me is, you must be a Republican. And I can tell them honestly, no, I'm a Democrat. As a matter of fact, Sunday, we were at a street fair in Manhattan, sponsored by a Republican club. And I mean, I saw some very hateful people. And the first thing, they didn't come up and say hi or how you doing. They said, are you a Republican? I said, no, I'm a Democrat. You know what I mean? I mean, because they were vicious. They were vicious. When I say vicious, they saw Republicans sitting at a table and they said, oh, look at those racists, racists, racists. I mean, the people were out of their heads with anger, with bitterness, for no reason. But at any rate, the bottom line is, we want to do what's right for our country. Labels don't make any difference. What makes a difference is, what kind of heart do you have? Do you have a heart for what's right in America? Or is your heart darkened? When I see some of what the liberals are doing, particularly now, to this nominee for the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, I think it's horrible. You know, if I was a loyal Democrat, which I'm not, and I haven't been for years, I would resign from that party. After all of this, I mean, this is what happened at the hearings, how they had to arrest the 70, and now, I don't even know that woman's name. You called it, but I don't even want to repeat it because I don't believe a word that she's had to say. She can't remember. Listen to Rush today. She can't remember where it happened, exactly when it happened, etc. I believe it's a pack of lies. And I do believe that the Republican Party needs to gear up a little bit. They need to, when they nominate someone or want to put someone in a position, broadcast it. Well, we'll look for the race card being played and we'll look for the sexual misbehavior, because that is their game plan. You study those that you oppose, and they play the same thing over and over. They did it to Clarence Thomas. They did it to Judge Moore, and that's all they know how to do. And unfortunately, we're living in a time where we can see evil all over the place. Evil toward our president. But they are in the minority because the majority of us voted legally for Donald John Trump to be our president. Whether they like it or not, evil did not prevail. We voted for someone who is going to protect the unborn babies. We voted for someone who believes that the natural union is one man, one woman, as defined by God. Amen. We won, and we must keep winning. You know, I was thinking about what can we do as people who want to do what's best for America. We can help people in different parts of America win their election, even if it's only by making telephone calls. Like my daughter and I have been going up to Boston. And, you know, we're involved in what's going up there because Elizabeth Warren needs to go. Yes. Yeah. She calls the wall stupid. She wants no borders. That's what they all want. So we're praying that Deal will defeat her. And, you know, like I said, we've been going up there, participating with some of their programs up there. And maybe all of us should find a state, and New Jersey, because New Jersey, you know what I mean. But in other states also, we can use that phone. We can use that internet to support people who are running in various parts of the country who are having problems. Because we cannot afford to let such a party of reprobates rule any longer. Look at Cory Booker. Jersey put someone in the Senate who is despicable, who is disgraceful. he became Spartacus with all of his lies. Look at what's her name? Camilla Harris. That was ridiculous. They play the race card. That's all they do. And I know Cory Booker is not concerned about black people. When he was the mayor of Newark, the undertakers, because there's so much black on black crime, the undertakers hosted a Stop the Violence rally on the steps of City Hall while he was mayor. I attended. Do you think he came down there? It was right on the steps of City Hall. Do you think he sent a representative? No, no, no. I said to myself, we're right here at his door. The undertakers are sponsoring this, and he doesn't have the decency to even come out and participate. We have to be more vigilant about who we're voting for. We have to look into their histories, do our due diligence to try our best to put people in office who love this country, who respect our Constitution. And we the people, have the power under the Constitution to make a big difference in America by being diligent and vigilant before we pull the lever or mark that ballot. We must forget about party loyalty. That means nothing. Be loyal to your country. Be loyal to the place that you call home. Be loyal and help us build. And I know that that's what you're about, because that's why you're here tonight. And it always does my heart good to see people who are patriotic, who love this country, and who know the difference between right and wrong, decent and indecent, natural and unnatural. Because what the left is trying to do is to turn this whole country upside down, recreate it in their image. I believe, this is me speaking, that one reason why they're so anti-American is that they hate the foundings of this country. We cannot deny it. We cannot change it. We were founded on Judeo-Christian values. And we can't let them strip us of our founding. We can't allow them to redefine this country in the image of godlessness. God has been merciful to us and allowed this election to surprise them all. That's why they're so upset. You know, I was reading about what's going on with Iran. Our president took us out of that agreement because it said it was one of the worst deals. Now we have John Kerry going around meeting 3 or 4 times with the Prime Minister of Iran. This is how underhanded these people are. No one did that when Obama was president. So he's saying that he has a right as a former Secretary of State, as a private citizen, to go to these international people and talk. Well, he's probably trying to tell them something negative about Trump, because he described Trump as having the maturity of an 8-year-old. How undignified for someone who's held a position in America to do that. But we shouldn't be surprised. I know one thing. He never challenged those swift boat vets when they wrote that book, Unfit to Command. And they were absolutely right then. They're absolutely right now. And listen, at least Rubio, Marco Rubio, the senator from Florida, is trying to see if he violated a law by doing that. I saw that today, and I said, I hope that it is possible that something can be done, because it's all wrong. But this is what we have to contend with: the hate, the evil, the wickedness. But we have to keep on fighting for what's right in this country. And by the grace of God and the power of God, we will prevail. We prevailed this last election. But we need to help all of those who are running for those Senate seats and positions, that we get those who will work with and not against our president. That's what he needs. And we, the people, are the ones who can do it. We can make this happen by getting on those phones, calling, even writing on the internet to help those who need to be in office and defeat those who are anti-American and, most importantly, anti-God. That's the bottom line. They're anti-God, because you can't have God in your heart and then 35 years later don't remember a place, don't remember how much did she get paid. And then I heard on Rush Limbaugh that she has a lawyer. Well, if you're telling the truth and you're honest, why do you need a lawyer? See, I look at those little things. Those little things tell me this is a big lie. Furthermore, which one of us in here or among them can say that they led a perfect life? No one. But I believe the judge is a decent man. I believe he's one who believes in the Constitution, not as a living and breathing document, but as it is written. And we need to pray hard for him to be confirmed. From what I heard from a friend of mine in Massachusetts, they believe he's going to be confirmed, and I pray that he is. And we have to keep fighting. We have to keep working. You know, I know we have all of our other problems and health issues and all of these things. I've had my share too. But even if I can't run like I used to run, I can sure talk. You can talk. You know, I was at the airport coming back from Atlanta on the 2nd of September. And there was this young Caucasian man, and sometimes I start the conversation because I want to find out where people are. And a lot of times liberals start the conversation. Well, I started this one. And he started telling me how Trump was a racist. I said, wait a minute. I'm black. I said, you believe that? See? I said, and I am more of an expert in that area than you are. And I just started talking to him. I said, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? I said, don't let people put sound bites out there and you grab onto them, eat them, and then put them out there without being able to justify it. What proof do you have? The bottom line, we talked for a long time because we had to wait for our flights. Where was he going? To Ecuador to kidnap his children. So he told me. But at any rate, he finally calmed down. And you know, he started thinking, well, you know, you have a point there. That's what we need to do. Make that point. Encourage them to think for themselves, because the brainwashing has been very successful. When you hear people saying the same thing over and over, and they don't even know one another, brainwashing is taking place. I tell some of the people I talk to, I said, my goodness, I know you got that from CNN. How do you know? Because I hear it over and over. The same thing, they're all brainwashed to repeat it over and over. But I try to encourage them to start thinking. Some of them get angry. Some of them are unreachable. But some of them, lights start going off. And that's what we have to do. Help those lights to go off. Let some light beam in. Let them know how important they are to America. That's what I try to do. And that's why, you know, I just feel so good about the future, because I see an awakening across the land. This walk-away movement, all of these things are very positive, because people are waking up, and particularly black people, realizing how they've been used for so many years to keep people like Maxine Big Mouth Waters in office. She's a disgrace. If I really voted Democrat, I would switch parties. But I just stay a Democrat for other reasons, to communicate with people, because I find it easier. They feel more comfortable if they feel that you're right there with them. And I live in urban area, so I rub elbows with them constantly. Doesn't make any difference what party I'm registered in. What makes a difference is what's in my heart. And what's in my heart is one nation under God. You know, we cannot allow these Democrats to define us as a wasteland. No borders. How insane is that? Do they live in homes with no doors? No, they don't. But they want us to accept something that's totally illogical so that they can build their voting bloc. That's all that's for. Black people walking away, they'll bring immigrants in to replace them. We're not important to them except at voting time. That's all. All you have to do is look at the communities, look at the crime, look at the poverty, look at the schools, look at the streets, look at the crime over and over and over, block after block after block after block, memorials. We're killing ourselves. We have more babies aborted in New York than are born. And I hope they listen to the pastor that eulogized Aretha Franklin because he gave them a run for their money. He talked about, do black lives matter? No. And this is a black man at a primarily black funeral. No, they don't matter until black people stop killing one another. Until we stop that, they don't matter. I mean, he talked about the fatherless homes. We have over 70% of blacks born with no daddy. I've seen birth certificates where it says father and it's blank. And I was running a family daycare. I had to close my door and cry. How would you feel if you had to apply for a job, needed your birth certificate, and where it says father is blank? This is what the children are facing. Over 70% of black children are born without a structured family environment. No mommy and daddy in the home. And we can thank the Democrats for telling black women you don't need a man. You don't need a man. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of your children. Let the government be their daddy. We'll give you affordable housing, which is nothing but the projects, where all of the violence, the gangs, the drugs are flowing in broad daylight. We have a job to do, my friends. And I know you're up to the task. Doesn't make any difference if we're 90, 80, 70, 60. We can do something to better America, to help someone get on the right path, the path of righteousness for this country. God molded this country in the palm of his hand, is my belief. I believe that. And he blessed us in a very special way. And every one of us who live here in America, we're special people. And we have a job to do. And I know that you will do it. And God bless all of you for taking the time to be here. And may he continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Do we have any questions here? Anybody have a question on the subject?
Yes. Where can we get you to speak in the colleges and schools before the election?
I know you and I talked about that too. Yeah, we have a few weeks, about 7 weeks. I don't know, you said we were going to work on it. I have done something at Fordham University, but that was years ago. You know, I did a Martin Luther King, and it was a lot of Muslims were present, and the dean of the Muslims, he was challenging me about Palestine, but like I told him, I said, well, the Bible predates the Quran, and that shut him down, period. So I don't have any problem with that if it can be arranged. Anyone else? I didn't talk about my book. Let me get one. This is a gift from God. I've never written a book before, and it took years to do this. And then the devil got very busy, and I got very sick for about 2 years. But some Tea Party people came right alongside of me and helped it get to a publisher. And by the grace of God, a publisher picked it up, printed it, and this is it, Escaping the Racism of Low Expectations. It goes into my experience as a Democrat. It goes into the fact that how black people are being used, manipulated, and lied to. And also I have a chapter in here which people find exciting, chapter 11. I've been an ordained minister for over 20 some odd years, and I attend a lot of churches. And I can tell you from experience that liberalism has invaded a lot of our pulpits, particularly in the black community. In my book, I tell you, we see 3 and 4 churches on one block, but we also see memorials to someone who was slaughtered the night before. The churches aren't tapping into the power of God, because God said, if we repent, turn from our wicked ways, He'll heal our land. He'll heal our communities, so something's not right. And everything's right with God, it's with us. So I explain what I've observed over the years, in particularly black churches. I also explain, my experience at a college I attended in the Bronx, founded by Jesuit priests, was totally liberal. Absolutely liberal. But I did manage to have a good time because I drove them crazy. And every time they saw me, when are you graduating? When are you graduating? I wrote papers like, if you don't say God bless you when you sneeze, you could die. America shaped in the hands of God. And I quoted the Bible. And I even wrote about liberalism. And for my religious courses, they had me in a course of black liberation theology. I can tell you from experience, it has nothing to do with Christianity. But that's also outlined in my book. And I have in here about secular humanism, which is what we see. And a lot of these people who are godless. And as a matter of fact, when Obama got ready to run for president in 2007, I started a campaign against him. I did it anonymously. I drew up this flyer, and it was poster boy of the godless. My daughter said, "Oh, mother, that's so harsh." But I told her I'm not changing it. And look, he lived up to every one of those words. He was totally godless. And I sent it all over the United States anonymously with gloves on, and I did all of that. Yeah, because I said, those people are ruthless, so I can't be a fool. So I'd mail some from Florida, mail some from Jersey, mail some from New York, all over the place. But I made sure no fingerprints were on and no DNA. But, so my book describes these experiences. Oh, but guess what? From that same liberal institution, I graduated with a 4.08. I had the highest GPA of everyone. But they delighted when they saw me get out of there. They were happy. But how I survived it, every time that I touched the door, I said, "Dear Lord, help me not blow my stack as I go into this den of iniquity." Because that's just what it was. They talked about not teaching those young people how to read, how to write. They taught them to hate America. And that's why, even during this election, I was looking on the internet today, and it says that most of the college students are against Trump. A high percentage of them. You see, when you go to those institutions, and if you don't have a strong family teaching you that they're lying to you, that can happen. And that's sad. I don't know what we're going to do with that. But they have invaded higher education. I mean, they went from and half of those people I graduated from, if I had a business and I needed someone, let's say, to order supplies, I could only think of maybe 4 out of about 300 of us that I would even interview, because they couldn't read. They couldn't write. They really couldn't. They would bring me papers. Can you help me? How does this sound? And the paper would be saying, I grew up in the projects. My mother and father were poor because white people made them poor. That's the kind of papers they wrote. And graduating from college, I saw it myself. One of the professors, an African, who said that they were getting papers off the internet, and I disputed him. I said, why would you say that? Anyway, when one of the black men was reading his paper, he could barely pronounce the words. So I had to go to that professor and say, please excuse me. You were correct. Because if you wrote it, you could read it. So, but then he also came from Nigeria. That's in my book, I believe. And he came from Nigeria, and he told the class of blacks and Hispanics how horrible America is. And every day I wore a scarf, they said, God bless America. Had my pin up there. And one day I said I had it. I said, let me tell you something. You're blacker than I am. You came here voluntarily. If you have a problem with America, pack your bags and I'll help you to get out. But you will not. As long as I'm in this class, tell these minority students that they can't make it in America, and you're here. And then he said, aren't you the oldest one here? I said, keep that thought. I went down to the dean and said, is that age discrimination? Anyway, we got it straight. And I got an A+, because I told him don't mess with my grade. I got an A+, my final grade. But all that's contained in here. Real life. Nothing in here is false. I mean, I even had a confrontation with the KKK. But that's no reason to hate. I was shot, and I do believe in the Second Amendment. Because if I didn't have my gun, first he shot my brother, and my brother said, sis, he shot me, go get your gun. And when the perpetrator heard that, he shot me. But I still made it and got my gun.
Time, we taxed enough.